we are called to share the gospel. We are called to be bold and be brave, and not to have a spirit of fear, but to have a spirit of faith. And Ephesians 6:11 and 12 talks about putting on the full armor of God, because we are not fighting a war of flesh and blood, but a spiritual war. Mm-hmm. So that's what I keep thinking about. And some of the things that have happened to me and a lot of people I know, we look at this, we have eyes to see. Our eyes are open, our ears are open, and we understand, what the media is doing to us is that they're trying to make us hate each other.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Welcome to The Right to Inspire. Journalist and host Sarah Strackhouse has worked at Fox News, the CW, CBS, NBC, and Time Warner cable stations across the country for more than 10 years, and is now focused on telling inspiring stories of those dedicated to making change. She's driving the message home that ultimately you have the right, the freedom, and the power to be the change you want to see in the world. You have the right to inspire.
Hey everyone, yes, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to bring on Shemane Nugent, just a huge household name, amazing woman, huge in the politics arena right now, and just has an amazing backstory, in the health and fitness world, wife to rocker Ted Nugent. Shemane, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you. It's always nice having you on because I love talking with you and just having conversation with you. And you have, like I said, such an interesting backstory. You're huge in the health and fitness world. And then your house that was actually on MTV Cribs went through this whole, was actually killing you, and I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, well, we found out that our home that was once featured on MTV Cribs was actually killing us with toxic mold between the walls. We never saw anything. We just kept getting sicker and sicker. And that was about 18 years ago. And I found some natural remedies to cure myself and my family. I had 4 different types of toxic mold in my bloodstream, and I was diagnosed with having pre-emphysema. And here I was, a fitness instructor. So it really caused me to take a second look at everything that I was doing, getting rid of scented candles, getting rid of toxins in my home and in my car. And nowadays, when I go someplace to somebody's home or business or whatever, and I can smell, whether it's Downy fabric softener or potpourri or the scented plug-in candles, I am okay with saying, I'm not going to be able to go in here, because I got so sick, Sarah, that I was in the hospital for a month.
Wow.
And I think that's why I've become so passionate about health. When you lose your health and you're lucky enough to get it back, I just feel unstoppable. And honestly, I'm going to share this with you for the first time. This situation, toxic mold, has been following us for years, and even recently with 2 of our other homes. And so it's an ongoing battle. But honestly, I think that now God initially was kind of nudging me to talk about this, to help other people. Once I started talking about this, sharing my story, my inbox is like blowing up, because so many people are so sick and they feel helpless. And I've finally produced a documentary. It's coming out soon. It's taken me a few years, but now with these recent indications of what's happening to us again and again and again, Sarah, I feel like God is no longer nudging me. He is shoving me to get out there and share this story, because I can tell you, people are so sick from toxic mold and they don't even know it. Mm-hmm. It can show up as so many different symptoms, and you go to the doctor for headaches or, sore throat, or even joint pain, even cancer. And you get, fed a bunch of toxic pharmaceutical drugs. And, it's amazing to me that once I start shining a light on this problem, people wake up and they go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I think my house has toxic mold in it. What do I do?
Right. So what do you do if you think it's toxic mold? I mean, good
You have to watch
question.
the documentary. No,
Okay.
I'm writing a book about it too. But the number one thing that I say, I have a free mold checklist on my website. It's at shamanenugent.rocks/mold. And then I think there's another slash in there, but it's a free checklist and it goes through some of these basic steps. Number one, you have to get your house tested so you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Number two, if you've there's 4 different real super deadly types of toxic mold. And if you've got the number one called Stachybotrys, you ought to just call it a day and find a new place to live. I'm serious.
Wow.
Like I've talked to people that say, I can't leave. I can't afford to move. Well, how much is your health worth? No,
It's
really.
gonna be a lot longer in the long run. A lot more.
Just ballpark, Sarah. How much is your life worth? Put a ballpark on it.
I mean,
And your child.
you can't. I mean, I would pay any amount of money for my kids' health.
That's what it comes down to. When people say, I can't afford to move, you can't afford not to.
Right.
But number one is you got to figure out what you're dealing with. So you got to get the proper remediators, and some people are not doing it right. And that's a whole long story. But that's the most important thing, is to find out what you're dealing with.
Wow. Unbelievable. And like you said, you were this incredible, I mean, fitness person. I mean, you won, was it in Detroit?
I was once named Detroit's most physical female. Now I have to tell you, in all honesty, that contest took place in a nightclub and most of the judges were probably drunk, but I won.
I think it still counts, especially I've seen you in action. It still counts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm taking it. But no, I did serve on the Michigan Michigan Governor's Council for Physical Fitness, Health and Sports.
Mhm.
I co-developed a program for Zumba called Zumba in the Circuit, and I traveled all over the world, training instructors in Australia, London, Paris, and pretty much every state. So yes, I've been teaching group fitness for 40 years, and to be so debilitated that I could not walk up a flight of stairs if my life depended on it, was a big wake-up call for me.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you're getting so vocal about it. So much people need to hear, and people might, like you said, don't even realize that this is an issue or might be affecting their lives. And the other thing I know you've been super vocal about lately is speaking up when it comes to politics, what's on your heart. And I know that Ted has always been real vocal about his thoughts, but you have, you know, and I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or just because I connect with you so well, but I love the way you approach things. I love the way you talk politics. You know, you're not putting anyone down, but you're still voicing your opinion. Tell me about coming out and actually opening up about your thoughts on social media.
I have seen my husband share his thoughts openly without any hesitation to anybody, anytime, anywhere. And, you know,
I respect that completely.
It all started when we visited President Trump in the White House, and I had posted some photos on social media, and Sarah, I got death threats.
Wow.
Now, I don't care who's the president. If you go visit him and post photos, you know, if I don't like it, I'll just, you know, move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I got some serious death threats, and I spent a lot of time, more than I should have, being really disappointed about my fellow man, and how could anybody do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up and I realized that, you know, it's number one, it could be bots, we don't even know. Yeah. But number two, you know, I have really learned a lot by watching Ted and watching him be so unguarded. And I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble. And unfortunately, I've already been banned from Twitter for posting a pro-Trump. Did you see the video that I did?
Yes.
I'll send it to you. I'm lip syncing. I'm not even saying anything. Yeah. I got completely banned.
The one that was like, where you been?
Yeah. What you do?
It was
where
so
you
cute.
at?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
yeah.
Completely banned. But here's the interesting thing. The Taliban has a Twitter feed. So I'm actually, Sarah, I'm shocked that you want to do an interview with me, because I'm worse than the Taliban.
Unbelievable. I know. Unbelievable. Like, just that all of these people still have accounts, can say the absolute worst things. And of course, they're not being flagged, but the rest of us are getting censored.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you know, the other thing that really hit me and caused me to take notice of what I was doing, this is going to surprise you, is when Kanye West came out with a gospel album.
Hmm.
I just got goosebumps.
Good guts.
I number one, think it's amazing, and I've posted that before. And number two, I thought it was very brave and bold of him. Can you imagine all the feedback he's gotten?
Oh,
And
unbelievable.
Ted told me that when he recorded one of his most popular songs right now, Stranglehold, to this day, the people in his band and his music, his record company, everybody basically had an intervention with him and said, you can't record an 11-minute song. You can't do that. Nobody's going to do that. And they went on and on telling him how he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And he went, are you done?
I just did.
Let's go back in the studio and finish it. So I'm looking at all these pieces of the puzzle, and there's another thing. I said that there was one more thing. Now this is the icing on top, or the cherry on top. It's that I've become very spiritual, and I've been a lifelong Christian, but this past 18 months, I kind of did a deep dive, and I feel like, I'm reading the Bible almost every day now, and I feel God speaking to me. And we are called to share the gospel. We are called to be bold and be brave, and not to have a spirit of fear, but to have a spirit of faith. And Ephesians 6:11 and 12 talks about putting on the full armor of God, because we are not fighting a war of flesh and blood, but a spiritual war. Mm-hmm. So that's what I keep thinking about. And some of the things that have happened to me and a lot of people I know, we look at this, we have eyes to see. Our eyes are open, our ears are open, and we understand, what the media is doing to us is that they're trying to make us hate each other.
Yeah.
And we don't. I was walking on the beach. I'm in Florida right now. I was walking on the beach the other day, and there was a gentleman that walked by, and he stepped on a bee, and he was limping and hopping. And that's happened to me before. And my foot swelled up, and I know how painful it is. So he came and sat down. He and his wife came and sat down right nearby me. And I said, take some sand, get it wet, and then make a paste out of it and put it on where the bee sting is. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I never heard of that before. And so after like a couple minutes, he goes, it feels better. And what that does, when it dries, it shrinks and pulls the stinger out. Here's the point, the moral of that story. Did I stop and ask him if he was a Democrat or Republican? It doesn't matter. No. If you look at what happened 20 years ago on September 12th, the mm-hmm. people who ran into the building
came together.
This is who we are. Mm-hmm. They are trying to divide us, and we've got to take a step back and go, no, sometimes turn off the media, turn off the TV. You have to have a routine where you relax at night so you can get good rest. You got to fill your body with superfood nutrition, and I can tell you all about that. Yeah. And do God's good work.
And sometimes I think, first off, I think it's amazing that you're stepping forward and you're becoming vocal about the things that are so important to you, because it's so inspiring. I mean, it's taken this show for me to even voice my opinions when it comes to anything, when it comes to politics, religion, what have you. But I think that it was kind of interesting. I was reading something recently that talked about how could Trump have been elected? How could this have happened? And I think sometimes people don't realize that the silent majority is just that, silent. But I think more and more people are speaking up. And, you and I remember interviewed on your show probably about a year ago now. And I remember you asking me my opinion. And I was like, as a journalist, I never give my opinion. Your show was the first time
really
I spoke up ever.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. I'm proud of you.
Well, and I'm excited that you're on, and I'm honored that you're on to talk about your journey and you giving inspiration to others, to whether it's finding their health, their fitness, or their religious and spiritual avenue, or it's their political journey. So I think what you're doing is amazing, and I know you're taking a step now even further and partnering with the Trump possible administration for something special, or with Trump for something?
It is very special. I got asked to partner with President Trump's Faith Advisory Board. And we've already had one call, and it was basically a 45-minute prayer meeting, and different nationally known, internationally known pastors were praying, and President Trump came on and spoke for 20 minutes, and it was like a love fest, and it felt so good to be around like-minded Christians and people who put God, family, and country first and foremost. So I told them I'm ready, willing, and able. I'm the one that's saying to God, use me. So
Right.
I'm really going wherever he places me.
I love that. I love that. Well, Shemane, how can people find out more about you, about your documentary coming out, more about your journey? Because you have so much to offer.
Well, thank you so much. I've got a website, ShemaneNugent.rocks, and I've got a lot of information on there, but I will tell you soon, I have another website coming out. I've got a book coming out and my documentary coming out. I'm doing a wellness women's ministry for health and fitness. And in fact, we have the first ever one of a kind. It's going to be just a handful of women who want to learn the Bible in a weekend. Yes, we will do that, and learn about healthy living and wellness. So I'm going to give you the link to that so you could attach it here. But I'm so excited to be, what this pandemic has done for me is really opened my eyes and my voice. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. And I know that what you're doing is inspiring other people to do that as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And always such a good conversation when you come on. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, thanks everyone so much for joining us. Like I said, for now, this show will not be on the Right Side Broadcasting Network, but stay tuned. There is more to come. You can find us at The Right to Inspire on all of your social services, as well as all of your streaming services. And we'll talk to you soon.
You have the right to inspire.